Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hey, Cobwebs Caverns, how's the audio? Testing. Thank you. Hey, Petsotics. Welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing today? Once again, I am bereft of topics. I'm getting some photography stuff for Christmas. Well, one thing, maybe two things, but photography stuff is so expensive. It's kind of hard to justify getting very much of it at any one time. I did find a new program to use for making videos, and I can highly recommend it. It is DaVinci Resolve. It's put out by a company called Blackmagic, and I have a photography program that they put out called Blackmagic that is really complex and really difficult to learn. I've never used Lightroom, so I can't compare it to Lightroom, but I've used two or three other photography, where you take a photo and edit it. And Blackmagic was, I've used GIMP, I've used Affinity. There's several of them that I've tried using. What's the free one that I have? Let's see. I've got Raw Therapy. Raw Therapy is the one that I've used the most, but I have. Hey Pam, welcome to the stream and Merry Christmas right back at you. Hey Valley Fish, welcome to the stream. Short of a topic, I am rattling on about a new program that I picked up. It is an excellent video editor. It's called DaVinci Resolve. I can look that up and give you a a page for it. It has a free version, and that's what I'm using, is the free version. And it allowed me to do something that none of the other programs that I've used to put together videos before. It allowed me to do something. I've got what's the name of that program? Wondershare Filmora, and I went ahead and, well, you have to pay for Wondershare Filmora, and I've gotten pretty comfortable using it. Not that I do a lot of highfalutin or fancy editing, but I've gotten pretty comfortable using that program. But there are a lot of things that it doesn't do. Jimmy uses Las Vegas Pro. There's a lot of people that use the Apple versions of things, but I I just don't have the money to buy those higher end products, and so I I just can't justify $10 a month for Lightroom or $20 a month. Cobweb says he got a new tank through the week for free, but it turns out it has a slow leak, which was caused by a tiny crack in the base glass, so water on the floor, but free fish with tank also. Depending on what size crack you have in there, it's possible to use plastic, like the plastic on the outside of a CD case. Something like this, that plastic. You could take an old CD case and cut it off and use silicone and glue that down, and sometimes that will seal, not every time. Anyway, this black magic, and I want to know what free fish you got too, now that you've piqued my interest. This program allowed me to adjust the sync between my sound and the video. My camera has a hitch in its giddy up, and I'm sure you've noticed if you've watched any of my videos that there are times when my voice and my lips moving are not the same. It's about 300 milliseconds behind. It's like the camera has a glitch in it where after about 10 or 15 seconds into the video, it'll make a crackling noise, and then everything is off as far as the sound being synced exactly with the video. And with this DaVinci Resolve, I was able to eat away at the video portion of the part that I was the video that I was working at. The video and the audio are separate, and so you can take a little bit away from the video portion and move it into place again, and then try that and see how far off it is, and then move it again. So I was actually able to take some video that was so out of line that it was unusable and fix it. And I found that very helpful. The program, while I didn't try to do anything ridiculously bells and whistles, I found the program to be extremely easy to use and extremely intuitive, and that's different from the actual program Blackmagic, which I already have, and it is a photo editor. But man, trying to learn how to use Blackmagic to edit photos was, I literally gave up and went to something else. I've got GIMP, and GIMP is pretty, it's okay as a photo editor, but it is also kind of hard to learn all the different ways to edit a photo on GIMP. And those two are probably my best photo editors, and yet I still end up using Raw Therapy and a couple of those. Hey, Bob Kaler, welcome to the stream. And yes, we are fish fools here. So, Cobwebs, what free fish did you get in your leaky tank? I suppose you could. Yeah. What size tank is it, and what coolie loaches, black neons, frogs, and some snails? Just as well I had a few free tanks and a cycled filter ready to go. I don't know, Bob. There's a lot of people here that would vie with you for being the largest fish fool. um, I, 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 I'm going to do a video on my Terry's Tropical Tank says I have Magic Movie Edit Pro 2015 and Photoshop Element 6.0. It will soon be time to update. Yeah. Oh, plus a really nice super red bristle nose. I have, it's really weird, but I have had very poor luck with super red bristle noses. I've bought 3 of them over the years, and I have not been able to keep one of them alive, which is strange to me. It's strange to me that I don't know whether I'm getting bad ones or I'm just not doing a good job or something. I'm assuming Bob's talking about a uh, a photo of an osprey. Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Nice cobwebs. What size tank was it? Oh no, not a photo. Well, I hope Bob's not going to be framing a live osprey. Ah, it's one of your drawings. Ah, congratulations. I've seen a couple of Pam's drawings and they're very nice. Um, I'm still wondering, Cobwebs, what the size of your tank was. That's kind of got my interest peaked now. From the fish you're talking about, it must have been at least a 20 and probably more likely a 30 or a 40. Small 2-foot bow front, quite tall and deep. Oh, that was probably one of those 50-gallon strange sized bow fronts. I've seen a couple of those here lately. Those things are notorious for leaking. I, I'm, I'm not sure what to tell you about that. If you can't get a piece of glass cut properly for it, you might cut a piece of plexiglass. Buy you a piece of plexiglass at the hardware store. You know, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, whatever it happens to be, and cut a piece that fits exactly the bottom of the tank. You know, it sets inside the old caulking, and then exactly the same as the tank, and put it down and then caulk all the way around. Cobweb says he thinks it was a mainland European tank. Was left by students at a rented flat, and the flat owner just wanted rid of it as soon as possible. Awesome. Well, I'm sorry it had a crack in it. I wonder if the flat owner is the source of the crack. Hey Joel, welcome to the stream. How are things in New Zealand? I guess I'm not aware, Joel. Do you guys celebrate Christmas like we do in the United States? I know it's Hey Joseph, welcome to the stream, man. I know it's getting warm and humid for you down there in at the bottom of the world, and I wonder about the celebration of Christmas. Is Santa shown in a hat and Bermuda shorts and flip flops? Your nano blue tetras have fry? Oh my gosh. Joseph, I'm so jealous. You haven't had them, what, for 2 weeks now? Grats. Um, what did they what did they put the eggs on? It's my understanding that Titicharax tambopinsis. Santa's at the beach. That's awesome, Joel. Found them in the duckweed. Wow, it was my understanding that they needed leaves that hung over the water's surface. That they placed their eggs on leaves. Hey, Fish Tropic, long time no see, man. They lay the eggs on the roots of the duckweed, and the fry hide in the duckweed. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you and so jealous at the same time. How many fry have you spotted so far? They've got to be tiny, tiny little fry, as in uh, microscopic fry. Have 8 fry. Awesome, man. I'm so happy to hear that. Super tiny. Well, I don't know that there are that many people that have actually bred those. TM Aquatics, Merry Christmas right back to you. Um, you see Joseph in the stream, JH Aquatics, if you don't know. He also got blue tetras. Joseph was with us in Peru and didn't want to bring back any fish at all. And then once he started looking at them, he started realizing maybe there were some fish he wanted to bring back. So he got the blue tetras too. And his have bred for him already. On the other hand, in my case, I got 16 in alive. The first day, 8 of them were dead. The second day, I lost 2 or 3, and I am down to 1. I actually have 1 little tiny blue tetra left. So I'm highly mortified. And Joseph here, not only are his doing well, they've actually bred for him. I think my mistake, yeah, too bad is one word for it. I think my mistake was how much water flow. When I got back from Peru, I set that tank up for 1 fish. And Joseph can probably tell you what that 1 fish that I set that tank up for was. And it was the green gold plecos, because I literally fell in love with those fish. And the green gold plecos were living in a rock garden of a stream that was about 15 inches deep and had round rocks everywhere. There was nothing in that stream but a hard scrabble bed of pebbles and big round rocks everywhere. And the water flow was almost enough to knock you over if you weren't careful. And it was, like I said, about 15 to 20 inches deep. And I'm sure there were places where it was deeper, but where we were catching the green gold plecos at, that's about how deep it was. And you literally had to set your net downstream and then roll rocks around until they tried to get away, and the water flow would push them downstream into your net. www.amazon.com, modern innovation. Well, Pam, that's probably a common thing to have happen if you're on more than one stream. If you think you're typing on one and you're actually typing on the other. Modern innovation. Now you've piqued my interest. I'll have to check that out at some point. I haven't talked to you about my photography gift, and let's see if I can demonstrate it for you. Let's give you a full picture of my butt. And now we're in the dark. And now we're not in the dark. And this is a very tiny little light. It kind of has a blue-green coloring to the light itself. And I'm sure any of you that have been paying attention to photography stuff here lately will recognize this as a lume cube. That's what this is called. Let's see, I'm not holding it in the right spot. It is a very tiny little device that will put out a phenomenal amount of light. And the reason I got this is because this little box, when you pull the charging cord out, and it was charging not too long ago, you have a small screw hole, and here is a rubber grommeted threaded piece. Yeah. And if you tighten it sufficiently to cover that it is now waterproof, and it can be used to blind everyone or to here you can see the back part of my room and how much this will light it up. The last setting is actually Nova Sun, and it will light up everything, anything. And it's a really interesting little device. Yeah, now we're on flash. It has a hot shoe attachment where you can use it as a steady light on your camera. It will mount on your camera, and it is Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get it to go off. I'm still learning the beast myself, but it will probably have to. It does work for the blinding thing. Joseph says, I'm going to let these fry try to survive in the tank with the parents. When I return from Memphis, I will plan to isolate the fry and have a 10-gallon infusoria tank set up that I have set up and cycling now. Yeah, that sounds. I'm so jealous, Joseph, that not only have your fish survived, they've done well enough to breed already. I've not had anything that I got back from Peru breed for me yet. I don't really expect anything to yet because the cichlids that I got are going to take a while. The littlest one is really little still, and so I assume it will take a while. But my tetras probably should have bred already for me, but they haven't. And the truth is, I probably haven't. The tank that they're in probably is not really what they want. They want a less flow tank, and because I set that tank up for the green gold plecos, I put heavy flow in it, and it's not really working for the tetras so much. I mean, I wanted high oxygen because I know that's what we caught these fish in, was a high oxygen environment because of where they were living and how much water flow was passing over them. So that's why I set this tank up like I did, and yet it is not really functioning too well. My emperors and the whatever the other ones are, they might even be Titicharex, the other ones. Right. My Nigrocinctus have not bred for me either. They're fat and sassy. They stay hidden away from me all the time. I only rarely catch them in the lighted end of the tank. They always stay away from the light because the light is sticking out into the room. That means I can see them if they're in that end of the tank. And the only time they go in that end of the tank is usually when I feed, because the way the tank is set up, the water kind of circles that end of the tank. So when I throw food in, it circles that end of the tank. And I like that because it keeps it from running into the overflow for the sump. Did any of the green gold and citrus survive for anyone, or was it a complete loss? When I got my fish in from Dean, he surprised me by sending me one green gold, and I did a video about him. His gills were so blood colored. The whole area under his mouth was bright red, and that's usually a sign of severe gill burn, and that's because he was in a bag full of dead fish for 5 days, basically. Joseph said that his Nigrocinctus are still taking meds because he found an anchorworm-like parasite on a few of them, but they are still under quarantine. Now, I have not seen any anchorworm-looking parasites on mine. Maybe I better check them a little more closely. I think I've lost 2 of them since they went in the tank, and they are fat and sassy. they were pretty skinny when they came in, but even just me feeding them a pinch of food, I mean, I give them um, frozen bloodworms every now and then, and I give them uh, frozen Daphnia every now and then, and every once in a while I give them freeze-dried bloodworms. I try to vary their diet. Um, I use some krill food that's real small, but it's basically krill. I think it's a hikari food. And bug bites, the little bug bites, and flake food. My mixture of flake food is basically what I've been feeding them. So they've not really gotten live food from me, but they are plump as all get out. So I guess maybe I better start studying them a little more closely. Anyway, what I was trying to get to and obviously didn't is that light, one of the things that I've always tried to figure out with taking photographs of fish is how to get enough light on them to take a good photograph. And that little light will literally go in a tank and set someplace. It's got a 1/4-inch screw hole on it, just like anything that would normally mount on the top of a camera tripod. And I'm going to come up with some kind of selfie stick or something that I can use that thing with and stick it down in the tank and turn it on and let it be the backlighting or the side lighting, and it will literally go underwater. If you look up Lume Cube, you will see guys have them hanging off their belts when they're surfing at night. They use them in underwater for scuba. They're good down to 100 feet. And it really impressed me when the more I read about it, the more I felt like that getting one of these was a good method for lighting up a fish tank on the inside as opposed to fighting the glare on the outside trying to get light in. And I've noticed that it does have kind of a blue-green cast to the light itself. It says it's 6,500 Kelvin, which is basically daylight, but it's obviously a little heavier into the blue and green spectrum of light. It does have gels that you can use to change the coloration. There's a little box that fits around it, and you can stick different gels on it. And I just feel like that it's you know, like 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and it probably weighs 4 ounces. It's pretty solid for the size of it. But it will, on a medium setting, not the highest setting, on a medium setting, it will put out light for about an hour. And the medium setting is really bright. It should be plenty bright enough to put in a tank and, you know, add a couple of lights on the outside of the tank and set up in a spot to try to get a shot of a fish, and having enough light on it to really see what you're taking a picture of. I just feel like that this is something perfect that I can add to my camera bag without having a lot of space taken up. And I'm hoping that I manage to learn how to use it well enough. It comes with a little sticker. That's the Lume Cube logo. And I'd really recommend it to someone. It's the one I got was $99, and it's just basically the cube and the charging cord. They've got air cubes out now, which have some nice updates. They're obviously less metal, but they're also waterproof, and they have a rubber, um, like where you'd put your fingers at on the outside. Hey, Dr. Log, welcome to the fish stream. And as far as Gandalf goes, he's one of my heroes. So, ho, ho, ho. um, the one thing that the air loom cube has that is different is it's got a really strong magnet on the back of it, so that you can just stick it to something metal to put it in place for where you might need light. So it's an interesting device. It's different from most anything I've ever seen before. You know, most of them are large. Well, I think Gandalf has gray hair. Gandalf the Grey does. And my hair's not really gray, so in that sense I don't look like him that much. I guess what I need to do is get myself back down to small size. So you can look at Valley Fish wants to know what else besides Pro and General Cure is good for treating internal parasites. Got some guppies in quarantine, and it's an ongoing battle. Tried using both of those meds. Neither have done the job. Valley Fish, I have my wife's 75-gallon, and Joseph is spot on there telling you levamisole. You can get a hold of some levamisole from, what's his name, Joseph? It's not Gary Lang. Who is it? Anyway, levamisole is a Greg Sage. That's right. You can go to Greg Sage's site and order levamisole, and I have it. And I also have sorry, I had to go get what I was looking at. Okay, back to large screen again, because I can't show them to you unless I flip up the large screen. A lot of times what happens is that fish do not do well within the water treatment, and in that case it is a good idea to use this happens to be this is from Everything Aquatic, and this happens to be a fenbendazole flake. And that way what you're doing is getting the fenbendazole inside of the fish. Now, the downside is that some fish don't like the taste of it, but in my case, I'm using it on rainbows, and they love anything. Rainbows will eat any kind of food there is. And so that's what my recommendation to you. You don't have to get it from Everything Aquatic. This is a friend of Susan's, and I bought 2 bags of it. I bought two 2-ounce bags of it, and the other bag is open and in use. Um, and also something that I have found that works sometimes is Seachem Paragard. Let's see, this light is not quite right at the right angle for you to be able to see. Seachem Paragard is useful in some cases. It's not going to be useful in all cases, but there are some times when Seachem Paragard is really good too. It's also good for fungal, bacteria, and virus lesions. It's a really good product that's been around for a long time. So that's kind of my take on, other than levamisole, the things that I know of that you can use. Yeah, fenbendazole is a good one. It's like levamisole. It's probably not as strong as levamisole is. Levamisole is basically the top tier of parasite killers in fish. Fenbendazole, Lucas buys what's it called? Pancure dog dewormer. Hey, Pleco Whisperer. Lucas buys Pleco Pancure dog dewormer, and it is fenbendazole as well. And you can go that route yourself. The problem then is you've got to open the capsules up and figure out exactly how much to use in how much water, because it's not set up to tell you how much to use, because basically they just want you to sprinkle the whole capsule on the dog food and let the dogs eat it, and that deworms them. But that is another route. If you have trouble finding fenbendazole, you can get it in some dog dewormers. It's not in all of them, and not all of them are in powder form. So you have to pick and choose which one to use. All right, we're rounding around the hour again. And Pam is saying you mix 1 packet with 10 ounces of water, then use 1 ounce of the mix per 10 gallons of water. Is that the levamisole or the fenbendazole, the Pancure? Right. And most of this stuff is sold as some other kind of pet dewormer. The problem is that you just need to figure out, like Pam there has given you what Lucas uses to treat fish with. And I'm not sure where he got that at, but he seems to have really good luck with it. Cobweb says he uses liquid treatments and mixes them into Repashy. And Repashy, if you've got fish that'll eat Repashy, and have tearments, Big Al's, Bob says Big Al's has a wide assortment of fish meds marketed for fish. Prices are good and quality is excellent. Jeremy turned me on to them. Now I can't stay off their website. Well, that's cool. That's what we need is places like that. Everything Aquatic, I would highly recommend their stuff too. The lady that runs it is is somebody that Susan knows, and I was really impressed with their. I don't even know what that website is. Everything aquatic. And I've been really happy with the stuff that I've found there. Now that's just one fish keeper to another. Bob Kaler's telling you about big owls, and that's probably just as good or better even. But I found the prices at Everything Aquatic to be reasonable, and they had a wide selection of different kinds of stuff to get. The shipping was quick and on time, and I've been really happy with the product so far. And you know, everybody will tell you something different, who they get from, what they use, how they treat, how they dose. But I've just noticed that there are some fish that seem to really not do well with in-water treatments, and those are usually fish that feeding medicated food to actually is a better way to handle excuse me, the treatments. All right, we're rolling up on the end of the hour. If you guys have got any last minute off the picture frame, good luck, Bob. Have a good weekend, and if I don't see you or hear from you, I want everybody to have a Merry Christmas. I want everybody to stop and breathe a little bit when you get stuck in the hubbub of the season, dealing with the traffic, dealing with all the people at the stores. Um, just stop for a moment and breathe and recognize that, hey Sophie, welcome to the stream. Um, Stop and breathe for a little while and recognize what this season, I mean, on the one hand, this season is a season of religious iconography. And if you are religious, I'm sure that it has spiritual meaning to you, but it is also a seasonal holiday that was built up over 1,000 years in Europe, and it is, you know, Yuletide. It is the winter solstice, and there are a lot of very non-religious, spiritual kind of things that go on with this kind of a holiday. And what I'm trying to get at is it's not all about the money. It's not all about the the hubbub, the no, the materialism. The Christians hijacked the pagan winter festival, and that's true. That's true exactly, and they did that because that was their way to de-paganize the pagans. That way, their religious holidays became Christian religious holidays. And I mean, that's, you know, there's a lot of sense in them doing that. But in doing so, they've added the pagan spiritual, non-religious spiritual meaning and feelings to the religious festival, so I just I just wish people could stop and take a deep breath and realize what the winter solstice means, that we are reaching the halfway point of winter, and people in olden times really didn't know whether they were going to survive through the harsh winters. These days, unless you're really old and or frail of health, you pretty much have an idea you're going to survive through the winter, unless some idiot hits you sliding on black ice, or you slip and break your neck on black ice or something like that. But Cobweb says, did you know that Christmas tree was a Victorian invention? Albert, Queen Vicky's husband, brought it over from Germany. Before then, no one ever had trees inside. Yeah, the trappings of Christmas are relatively new compared to other kinds of uh, religious holidays. But I think that that underneath the important religious, spiritual side of Christmas is a whole nother part that has to do with the season and the surviving and the thankfulness for having survived. And I just wish people could spend a little more time appreciating family and friends, and not doting so much on the commercial and the Madison Fifth Avenue gloss of Christmas. Who's to say who's got a better idea of what Christmas really is? We all have our own opinions, but I just wish that it was a little easier to forego the desire for gifts and think more about the joy of having survived halfway through winter. Although really in this situation it's not halfway, but it's pretty close. It's the winter solstice basically. Cobweb Caverns brings up a very good point. Spare a thought for anyone who is spending Christmas alone and has no friends or family. It's always a good idea to, if you can, if you're in a position where you literally are capable of aiding someone, someone that you may know tangentially, someone that you see on the highway driving by that always has a sign saying will work, or broke vet or something like that. And I'm not saying that you should do this and then get axe murdered by the person, but if you can offer them something for Christmas, if you can take them out for a meal, if you're not comfortable having them in your home, take them out someplace and buy them a good meal and just share the camaraderie. I don't want to sound silly about this, but it's just the way we really feel better about ourselves, the way if we're depressed, if we feel left out, if we feel run over top of, the best way to handle that and to turn that around is to go out and do a selfless act of helping others. And I just think this is the perfect season for that. If you're alone and you're gloomy about it, go out and help someone. Go out and volunteer at an old folks home to help them with their festivities and their meals. Volunteer at a church to serve meals. There are a lot of ways short of picking up a hobo and taking them home for Christmas. There's a lot of different ways that you can reach out to your fellow man. And I am here to tell you, excepting for the case where your fellow man brings a butcher knife and stabs you to death to get whatever you have at home, and surely your spider sense will be good enough to detect if the person you're talking to offers you that much of a threat. Um, you will more than be repaid by offering to help someone, even if they have mental issues, even if they are alcoholic or drug addicted. None of those things really matter when you connect with somebody one on one, even if it's just a poor person that just, is living out of a shopping cart. You can connect with them in such a way that it will widen your heart and help theirs, because they will know that there really are people out there that understand that our human connection is far more important than our materialistic connections are. And I just really would like to see people stop and take a deep breath and do the things that are really important. Family, um, selfless acts of kindness for others. Those are the kinds of things that are really what's important. And Cobweb Caverns brings up a good point. Folks with real mental health issues are far more likely to be a victim of crime than to be the cause of a crime. And that's part of the stigmatism that goes with mental health. We see them as crazy people that are going to kill us in our sleep. I'm not advocating that everyone go out and pick up a whack job off the street and bring them home and give them free run of your house. I am advocating that if you make a human contact with another human being and recognize that they are going to do without this Christmas, and have a general idea that they are the type of person that you could help and who would appreciate that help, then by all means, if you are able to and willing to, offer to take that person home for a meal, offer to take that person to a restaurant for a meal if you're uncomfortable with them knowing where you live. Yeah. Yeah, it's our cops are becoming militia. They're being armed with riot gear and war materials, and they're becoming more and more. Yeah, that's really sad, Punchy. That people with known mental issues are still able to be shot and killed by cops over nothing, really. Well, I just want everyone to have a happy holidays. I want people to enjoy their holidays as much as they can. And even if they are in a situation where they are lonely or depressed or feeling mental issues, that the one thing that we can all do as human beings that will help us feel better is to help other people. There are far more people that are more lonely than we are, that are more destitute than we are, no matter what our situation is. And you can always help someone else. And that's the thought I would like to leave for Christmas, while wishing everyone here a Merry Christmas and all of the people in YouTube land a Merry Christmas. Um, all right, guys, we've rounded the hour. I hope all your fish are doing well. I hope your week and your holiday season will go wonderfully. And I hope that Santa Claus brings you and your fish all of your wishes. Good luck, guys. I'll see you on the flip side. Thanks for spending some of your time here with me.